Instant ramen noodles is probably just about the most stereotypical food that you can associate with a busy, financially challenged college student. And for good reason too. I mean, it's super cheap, it's sold literally everywhere, like the gas station, everywhere. And if you really want it to, it comes together in like 4 minutes. But no matter how miraculous and amazing instant ramen noodles are on paper, after a while, they get pretty old. Which is exactly what birthed the idea for this video. Jesus Christ, the neighbors must be moving today. This isn't a let's make ramen with real chicken stock and a soft-boiled egg video. There are definitely enough of those living on the internet already. In this video, I'm going to show you 3 straightforward, inexpensive ways to transform and create something new out of instant ramen noodles. Prepare your instant ramen noodle paradigm for shattering. The first 2 dishes we'll make are served cold. We'll start by making the noodles as one normally would, but then chill them down in an ice bath. Just toss those little seasoning packets aside. It doesn't really matter which ramen you use. We're not using any of the flavoring or anything like that, we're just using the noodles. Instant ramen noodles at the ready, bring some water up to a boil. Then dunk your ramen noodles in and poke things around until they're cooked through. This should really only take a couple minutes. Once the noodles plump up and separate, strain them off into a colander, then immediately dunk them in an ice bath. Shocking the noodles in cold water immediately stops the cooking process, which sort of locks in their signature bouncy texture. Get a load of those gorgeous, life-giving strands. Nothing short of a miracle. Then just set those noodles out on a paper towel to drain off the excess water. Alright, so this first one is what I like to call a ramen salad. Essentially, all we're really doing here is grabbing whatever fresh seasonal vegetables we can get our hands on and resting them over some cold instant ramen noodles that have been tossed in vinaigrette. That little thing that I was slicing cucumbers with is called a Japanese mandolin. Mandolins make vegetable prep a lot quicker and more precise, but they can be dangerous, so, be careful with that. A chef's knife and some basic cuts will also get the job done just fine if you don't have one. As of the recording of this video, it's summertime, which means it's sweet corn season, and that's really the only time of year that I like to eat corn raw. And a lot of people don't know this, but once the kernels are removed, the cob still has a lot of flavor tucked in it. Use the back of your knife to scrape away at the cob to release any leftover kernels and press out that juice. Yes, corn juice is a thing and it's magical, so don't waste it. Now we're going to make a simple, bright vinaigrette to toss our noodles in, and to top the salad with. To a resealable jar, add the juice of 2 limes. This is going to be our acid. Then a teaspoon of soy sauce, a teaspoon of honey or another sweetener. This is also going to act as our emulsifier, joining the fat and the acid together. Then, if you'd like, a pinch of chili flakes for heat. Any other chili pepper works too. And for extra credit, if you have it, a dash of fish sauce for that funk and umami boost. You can also just leave this out if you're not into it. Now for the fat, I like to use a neutral oil like grapeseed or canola, but olive oil works fine too. Notice how I left out salt. Fish sauce and soy sauce are very salty, so this is the sort of thing that I wait to season until the end once I can taste things. If you'd like to learn more about vinaigrettes, I did a video all about them a while back, so peep that if you want. This just needed a touch more salt. Of course, we need that soft-boiled egg. To make it, add cold eggs to boiling water for 6 minutes, then remove and shock the eggs in an ice bath for the perfect soft-boiled egg. Really, that's it for this one. Super straightforward. After the veg prep is done and the vinaigrette is made, all we really have to do now is build. I like to add roughly half the vinaigrette to the noodles and reserve the rest for topping. A cool part about this recipe is that it can be made with whatever vegetables you have laying around in your fridge, and it's a solid way to lighten up ramen, so eat your vegetables, kids. A little chopped cilantro over the top there for color. Also, as a rule of thumb, cold food and especially raw vegetables need to be salted a little heavier than hot food, so we're just going to add a touch more seasoning. This next dish is one of my all-time favorites, Ginger-Scallion noodles. As the name suggests, the star of the show here are scallions or green onions, or grunions, and gingy. Remove the first inch off the top of the scallions and the root ends, then chop them thinly. Then pop those in a medium-sized bowl. Next, we need to mince some ginger. Start by squaring off a 2-inch piece of ginge. Then we'll cut the knob into planks, and from planks to a thin julienne, which is really just a fancy way of saying small matchsticks. Finally, cut across the small matchsticks until you get fine pieces of ginger, also called a brunoise. Don't worry if your cuts aren't perfect. Run your knife through the ginger once or twice more until it's cut up finely, then add it to the bowl with the scallions. Now that the knife work is done, all that's left to do is add in additional flavor. To the bowl with our ginger and scallion, add in half a cup of neutral oil, such as grapeseed or canola, a teaspoon or 2 of rice wine vinegar, 2 teaspoons of soy sauce, and a pinch of kosher salt. Oh, and if you're feeling yourself, I like to add a dash of toasted sesame oil. It's a really strong flavor, so you really only need a teaspoon or less. Once the cold sauce is mixed, all that's left to do is to toss in our chilled instant ramen noodles. And pro tip, I've made these noodles a lot and it can be a challenge to mix the scallions and ginger into the noodles, so I found that it's sort of easiest to use your hands to mix everything together. There you have it, a simple way to turn ramen noodles into something cool and refreshing. We've just made 2 bright cold noodle dishes. Now it's time to make something a little more luxurious. Cacio e Pepe, or cheese and pepper, is a simple Italian pasta dish made of, well, cheese and pepper. Start by shredding the Pecorino Romano into a bowl with your microplane or a box grater. If you don't have Pecorino, go ahead and just sub out for Parmesan Reggiano. Then we'll need some black peppercorns. Pepper loses a lot of its spunk when it's pre-ground, so look for fresh peppercorns. There really are only 2 big ingredients in this dish, so you want them both to be top-notch. These are just some telecherry peppercorns that we now need to grind up. I like my pepper coarse and chunky in Cacio e Pepe, so here I'm just using the back of a pan to squash these little peps. Once squashed, toast the ground pepper in a dry skillet over medium-low heat until aromatic. Then pop them out of the pan so that they don't burn. Add that pep straight into the bowl with the cheese and set it aside. Now for the noodle. We're going to treat these noodles like we would pasta, so now we need to salt the water. I know, ramen is notoriously high in sodium, but don't worry, a lot of that comes from the seasoning packet itself. Once boiling, add in the noodles, cook until they separate, then reserve a cup or so of that starchy pasta cooking water. Pour a few tablespoons of that pasta cooking water right into the bowl with our cheese and pepper. We're going for a cheesy, starchy, flavorful paste that we're going to coat our noodles with. Once finished, transfer the noodles directly from the cooking water to the cheese bowl and give it a mixy. Oh yeah. If done proper, you should be left with a creamy, coated noodle and cheesy, starchy sauce at the bottom of the bowl. A little more cheese over the top. This dish is really made with 2 ingredients, but it's very satisfying and continues to blow my mind, especially when made with instant ramen noodles. Alright, we did it. Instant ramen noodles minus the soup. And then, come on, you knew it was coming. The yolk shot. Sheesh. Just a little more vinaigrette over the top for good measure. And of course, some silly. Gots to have ya silly. These first 2 cold preparations are excellent ways to enjoy ramen during the summer. And these Ginger-Scallion noodles are actually insane. I really hope that you try all 3 of these, but these Ginger-Scallion noodles are my fave. And you can't forget about the Cacio. This stuff is also quite bomb. Probably just don't tell your nonna that it's made with ramen noodles. Hopefully this video has taught you how to harness the true power of those little curls of joy that we know as ramen noodles. It's actually nuts. In Japan, ramen noodles were voted as the century's #1 invention. I think that's pretty dope, and I appreciate it, so thank you, Japan. And as always, if you'd make something, you take a picture of it, post it on social media, be sure to tag me. I love to see what you guys make. I love to feature you guys on my story. Also, yeah, be sure to follow me, too. I'd probably reverse the order there, but you understand. Hopefully you get the idea. And thanks a milli for sticking around till the end here to watch. I appreciate all of y'all's, and yeah, I guess I'll see you next week. Later.